Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's episode of Renegade Wrestling. I am your host, JJ Williams. Happy Monday. Today marks the very first installment of Renegade Wrestling that is being cross-branded with UnlimitedRadio247.net. You can go down to the website and find all episodes of Casa D18 Studios shows from here on out up there, as well as, of course, on YouTube, like always, youtube.com/Renegade Wrestling. I hope you've enjoyed the couple that you saw over the weekend, a couple of old classic holiday episodes that we shot last year. There will be more of those coming up throughout the month, as well as the brand new content we'll be featuring. Let's get right down to the questions here today. Today I'm going to do a little something different. I'm actually going to start with YouTube instead of starting with Facebook. Longhorn Fan 1000. Hey JJ, if Caval had been used properly when he was in WWE, do you think we would have seen some good matches between him and some other wrestlers like him that are in WWE today? As much as I love Low Ki, I think he was a horrible pick for WWE in the first place. His style is too intense for the WWE wrestlers to be able to handle. You know, they always tone the indie guys down a good 75 to 80% anyway once they make it up to the E. So Low Ki's true style would have never been showcased. About the only matches I could think of that I would have liked to have seen would have been some matches with him in like maybe a Yoshitatsu. Golden Eagle 407. Hey JJ, do you think when all the Attitude Era marks die, the Attitude Era will finally be laid to rest? No, because especially now that that DVD is out there, people can watch and realize that what's being presented to us today is garbage compared to what was being presented to us back in the Attitude Era. By no means am I saying that the Attitude Era is like the greatest, but when you compare that, which is when I came into wrestling, to what I'm seeing every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and occasional Sunday, I think any of us would take the Attitude Era stuff any day of the week. F. Hamd. Okay, so AJ Styles gets no title shot until Bound for Glory. What happens if he's the X Division champion come Destination X? It's a very good point. I don't think that we'll have that issue. It would be a good loophole to get out of having the X Division champion get a title shot. You know, because I wonder if they really wanted to do that long term anyways. In the end, they may reevaluate it and think it was a bad idea, so it could be their way out of having to do that. But I honestly don't see AJ with any kind of title between now and then. The fact that he's still winning shocks me, to be quite honest, because like I said when we were doing predictions for the last TNA pay-per-view, it was like the best way to book him would be to have him on a serious losing streak between now and then. The fact that he's still winning TV matches shocks the hell out of me. It'll be very telling come Sunday, I believe, when Final Resolution happens, if he beats Daniels or not. That'll be a huge tell as to where the AJ thing is going to go from here, I think. Detol Godzilla Star. Hey JJ, do you think if Jack Swagger returns to WWE that he should challenge Antonio Cesaro for the US title, if he has it by then? And would this be a good way to turn Jack into a babyface? Also, could this push Jack and Antonio to the top of the card if they get a good feud going over the American angle? And by the American angle, I think you're talking about how Cesaro's touting about that, you know, no American can beat him. Swagger coming in and beating him for the U.S. title, I think, would be a great way to do that. You're absolutely right. Swagger would turn babyface in the process. You know, he's been off TV long enough that, you know, people will hopefully forget that he was a heel. You know, come back into a fresh scenario without Dolph Ziggler, without Vicky Guerrero, without Michael Cole, and just go straight after Cesaro for the U.S. title and bring it back to a good old boy, a good old American. Represent the red, white, and blue. That would be a fantastic way to turn Swagger babyface, I think. I think you're absolutely right there. Now on to Facebook. Christopher Jordan, do you think Kofi Kingston should get a push for the WWE or World Heavyweight Championship after his IC title run is finished? Only if he turns heel. Only if he turns heel. Zach Lanny, what if instead of The Rock winning the title at the Rumble, Punk retains and keeps it to Mania? Good idea or bad idea? Well, Zach, to be perfectly honest, I was just talking today with Sean from UnlimitedRadio247.net and Lowdown Radio about this very thing. And, you know, if Punk retained the title, I honestly think that would be a good thing, because I've been hearing grumblings about a triple threat Mania match anyway between Cena, Brock, and Rock. A match of that caliber doesn't need the title in it. So if Punk retains, by the time we get to Mania, and Statboy can check the figures and actually give the true number on his show Wednesday, we're looking at like a good close to 500-day run with the title for Punk if he holds it till Mania. Something that just doesn't happen this day and age. We all know he's not going to hit Pedro's 1,000 plus day run. If you can get a good 450, 500-day reign in this era, I think that'll cement Punk's legacy forever. Especially by being able to do the one thing that John Cena couldn't do, the great and power Superman. He beat The Rock. David Anthony Hunter. Hey JJ, I have two questions. One, what did you think of Earthquake? I personally thought he was a good big wrestler, and I would have liked to have seen him getting a shot at the IC or WWF title. Well, I believe he got a couple of shots against Hogan for the WWF title, if I'm not mistaken. IC, I'm not sure. He was a good big wrestler, you know. Back in the days of, you know, you had like Andre the Giant, who, love him, he was a slow poke in the ring. He couldn't get around that good around the time Earthquake, Typhoon were starting to come in. Hell, that's why they put him with Haku as the Colossal Connection, because Haku could carry the weight. No pun intended. You know? But Earthquake was a great big wrestler back in the day. An IC title run for him would have been decent. I don't know about the WWF title, because, you know, Hogan, man, he wasn't going to release that strap to just anybody. The second question here is, what WWE and TNA pay-per-view would you like to see in England? Well, the obvious choice for a WWF pay-per-view would be to do the Rumble, the Royal Rumble there in merry old England. You know, another good one I think would be to do SummerSlam once they leave LA, since, you know, they had it in Wembley back in '92. This year, honestly, would have been a good year to have done it, 2012. It would have been the 20th anniversary of the Wembley show. For TNA, I think it would be great for TNA to do a Bound for Glory there. That's their biggest show of the year, man. That's their WrestleMania. Do their biggest show of the year in England. And all those fans there that don't get big name pay-per-views anymore. You know, you're lucky if you get a Raw and a SmackDown. You know, it would be huge for TNA to do a Bound for Glory there. The last question I have today comes from Logan Gonzalez, and it's a non-wrestling question. He says, what is your favorite old-school baseball logo? Mine is the 1969 Cubs logo. I have the same cap Punk wears. Well, my favorite old-school logos are, and I'm going to edit them into the video here so you can see them, but I love the 1980s era Detroit Tigers logo. I'm not the biggest Tigers fan per se, but I always liked the tiger in the middle with the big circle around it that said Detroit Tigers. I always thought that was cool. And also the 80s era Pittsburgh Pirates logo with the diamond and then the pirate right in the middle of it. So, that'll wrap it up for today. Thank you for joining me on this edition of Renegade Wrestling. Again, make sure you go to unlimitedраdio247.net. You can stay up with all the shows from the Casa D18 studios there, as well as our YouTube channel, like always, youtube.com/Renegade Wrestling. We've got a double dose of In the Pink for you tomorrow. We're going to have Pinky doing her regular show, talking about wrestling and whatnot. And then she's also going to have her first of 3 holiday shows to keep with the holiday motif that's been being thrown up there with all those classic shows. You got Stat Boy coming up on Wednesday, and hopefully Stat Boy will give you an accurate count for me as to what Punk's title reign will be come WrestleMania if he keeps it for that long. You've got the Chicks on Wrestling on Thursday. I believe Jade and Pinky will be interviewing Stat Boy this week. I'm not positive. Don't quote me. Cards subject to change, you know, in professional wrestling. And then I'll be back on Friday once again with another installment of Renegade Wrestling. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel.